Positive attention is like crack to women, and capitalism has infiltrated the intimacy between the male and female species. And ultimately, I feel like the souls of women are being harvested and transferred or alchemized into money for giant corporations. This is what we're going to talk about over the course of the next two videos. In this one, I'm going to focus on how attention is essentially like crack nowadays. And in the second video, I'm going to get more to the soul related things, the conversion of your emotions to monetary gain, and how that manifests and where it leads to. First things first, bro. All attention is not equal. There's good attention, there's bad attention. Obviously, women do not like emotions like being ignored, being betrayed. Nobody likes those emotions, but typical negative emotions, people don't like that, right? Now, when it comes to the good emotions, of course, everybody likes good attention, right? Everybody likes good attention. However, I feel like there's a big difference between the males. And I'm not going to say addiction. Some males are addicted, some males are not. I do feel like more women are addicted than males. Okay, I'm talking about the average, right? Um, it's like crack. It's like crack. Why is that? Well, social media can change a woman's life super quick. Of the reasons we're going to explore later, but social media can change a woman's life super quick. If she's attractive, if she, comes off good to the, she can easily go super viral, get deals, become a brand ambassador, become a sponsor in a very short amount of time. Okay, so I had to cut myself off right there because this going viral and how fast you go viral is entirely dependent on what you are willing to do. And that's very important, right? Often in like occultist like talks and stuff, we talk about consent being needed in order for the spirit to enter into the soul, right? So if you want to think about this thing I talk about, it's called EST syndrome. People that are addicted to the EST, the best, the newest, the brightest, the bestest, or things like that. People that have like an apt for this tend to do the things that make them go viral faster. It makes a lot of sense why it's very easy to be addicted to this thing. Also, there's no like third spaces. If you don't know what if you don't know what a third space is, that's essentially just like a place in public for people to hang out, and the main focus is hanging out, not spending money. So like technically, like a bar is a third space. You know what I mean? But like it's circled around drinking, and I'm not gonna ramble. So this is not to like blame women exactly for this addiction. Ultimately, all of us, both men and women, all of us peasants, were essentially put into positions that prime us to take on already existing roles. For example, if you were born into a community where crack was prevalent, all your friends was doing it, well, people are going to blame you for ending up being addicted to the same thing. But when you really zoom out, you didn't have a choice to begin with because you were just born in the environment that turned you into that thing, right? And so the force pulling you away from that simply wasn't strong enough to actually do anything. And so, kind of, women are in a very similar position where they're born into a very, I'm gonna be honest, predatory landscape. Really, all of us are, right? There are, well, predatory in different ways. I'm talking more in the sense of like attention predators, companies, businesses, preying on your emotions, preying on, well, your body quite literally, preying on your insecurities, also temptations. There's temptations everywhere, right? They, it's a simple combo. Make you insecure and tempt you to so that that negative emotion is converted into like emotions of longing and wanting and yearning for something that you've been told that you like. And that's really what most ads do. Most ads really just look at an ad and just boil it down to what it is. You are lacking. You are not good enough to do this. You can't do this. Is this too hard? Are you feeling behind on your diet? I diet and I just can't seem to lose any weight. Dang, I've been studying so hard, but my midterms. It's all the same thing, and they sell you the solution. Women basically got this turned up to 10 in every aspect of their lives and their bodies, literally. And quick side note, men do too. Like, there's a beauty industry for men, but obviously it makes less money because less men care. Attention being crack. Okay. Why is there no friction when it comes to participating in this? Why does it seem like there's a hive mind that just blindly adheres to the same social trends, the same um makeup trends and stuff like that? Well, if you don't have to think about it too hard because it's kind of simple. We're all raised on similar programming that pretty much primes us to become um something similar. A decent member that can produce money for the capitalist body, right? As a woman, when you're young, of course, everything starts when you're young. You're taught even before you could speak, before anybody ever told you, just observing, you see how good looking women are treated. You see how bad looking women are treated. And you don't want to be treated like how a bad looking woman is treated, right? You absorb this really early. And so there is already pressure to just be good looking. But like 50% of being good looking is your genetics. So this is the filters. There's a specific type of person that does the best in this kind of landscape. Low morality, high attractiveness, high energy levels, and a high need to be a people pleaser. So as a woman in this, capitalist society, women that are not people pleasers, they ultimately get filtered out the higher you go up in the area. And then that's why at the top you have all these people that essentially just like have orgies and stuff, at big parties. Because they're people pleasers at their core, so deep at their core that it's actually their fetish. And the grooming for this starts very young. The grooming for this starts very young. Think about like how you you ever see those like rat experiments when we were growing up in school, and there would be like different types of conditioning. There's like operant conditioning, and then what is it, starts with a C? Conditional conditioning. Oh no, I'm tweaking. But yeah, there's different types of conditioning, right? And think about this. When you were young, okay, if you're a girl, you were like, you did something good, and that was followed by good girl, and then some candy, a treat, or like a game or a toy. You know what I mean? There are systems in place to teach you what is good and what is bad. Now, when it comes to attention seeking, I feel like that's when the reward is so good that it becomes a little bit of an addiction. So there is also sensory adaptation. So in this scenario, if like you never got any type of reward, then a slight reward is going to be equivalent to a great reward, because that's the only reward you've ever had. So you don't know what a great reward is. So just take that into account as well. Um but yeah, there's different types of ways that I feel like society grooms people to become attention seekers. And I feel like by the time the age of like you get to like high school, middle school, I feel like majority of the population has some, especially women, of course. This video is primarily about women. This whole thing about when I say society is grooming, I'm talking about everybody, but they know that the same conditioning manifests in different ways for both genders. So that that is why they can still use the same type of conditioning on both genders, because it's just going to manifest different. But by the time you get to a certain age, majority of the population, especially women, are already instilled with some level of people pleasing aptitude. And then you're handed social media, and that just like blows it up. It's like social media is okay, like it's like the amplifier. It's an amplifier. It's a medium that amplifies what's already there, what you already have deep inside of you that you're seeking, right? That's why we have these algorithms in the For You page that takes the data of the things that you watch, and it gives you back data that is for you. You know what I mean? Social media is an amplifier of what is inside, the black mirror, if you will. Um, and so, since, okay, boom, you get off the conditioning. So, in like infantile stages and toddler and child age, you're not, you know, there are a lot of child creators in terms of drawing and creating things in arts and craft, but primarily it's spent consuming the world around you, consuming nowadays TVs, iPads, and just consuming a bunch of stuff. And then school is now your turn to to fall into your role, to find out how you are going to become a character in the world stage. You understand what I mean? And so it's like being taken off the bottle, and social media is like being given your first, your running shoes, right? Hold B to run. Shout out Pokemon, right? um so women and attention seeking. So yes, by the time this age, most, I feel like, women already have some level of wanting to seek attention. And with social media promising the things that it promises, a good life, your future. I mean, social media is the future. You know what I mean? Of course, it's going to be the new crack. So they're gonna put this in a higher place in their life hierarchy, over their family, over their like friends, over their everything. Boys do this too, right? Boys do this too, but this video isn't about guys, right? So that's why, like, that's how you have these families where the parents just can't connect to their kid anymore, because the kid knows that social media is going to be their future. It's the new crack, right? um when it comes to relationships in adulthood, the same way that the child always wants to stay in their room to be on social media, and like not spend time with their parents, in a lot of relationship, the a person, it can be a man, it can be a woman, will use social media as this, like, like primary life controller in a way, and the rest of their life is just kind of like, it's not for you, it's not for them, because they didn't curate that, and we want what we want. People want what we want. I understand sensory adaptation to be your brain having a base level of like happiness, right? A base level of emotion. When you get a certain stimulus, a thing, an experience, something you hear, see, touch, feel, blah blah blah, it can raise your happiness level. But then after with time, you get used to that level of happiness. And so in order to increase that level of happiness, you have to increase the amount or level or intensity of the stimulus. But even then, with time, your brain will get used to that level of emotion, that level of intensity. And even with the same level of stimuli, you'll be like, you're not going to peak. You know what I mean? You might even, it like, and if given like you're even if you go back to like lower levels of stimuli, you might just stay at base level. It might not even do anything. It's like a smoker. The first time you smoke weed, you're on Mars. 3 years later, you're hitting like 10 blunts a day. One blunt is basically like smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? Same, you just get a head buzz. It's the same thing. In terms of women, okay, there's a lot of ways that plays out. So let's talk about compliments, for example. You know, when a woman is complimented by a new person, it's like novelty, or this is a person she sees in high regard, or she likes them. This means a lot more. But take the same person, and if they give her the same compliment every single day for a couple years, the level that holds in her place, the intensity of the happiness emotion, it's gonna go down. Okay, so social media. There's going viral, there's going semi-viral, you know what I mean? There's true virality, like 100 million, 200 million. You know, there's becoming a celebrity, there's becoming an icon, then there's becoming a brand, you know what I mean? Um, there's levels to it. And so in this EST syndrome society, this always needing to strive for more, there's there's a need, or there's this pairing of the people pleaser archetype and the hustle culture, and it and there's this deep thing to just never stop going to the next. But but when you know that, okay, well, at the highest levels of society, it's just like ultimate corruption. When you see somebody doing this, me personally, I view them as like being kind of wet behind the ear, or not really knowing where all this ends up. And I do think most women and young girls fall into that category. Um, because this stuff could get really dark, which is what the second video is going to be talking about. But in this one, we're just going to focus on attention being so addictive. Um, but I told you all these many reasons. It can provide you the life that you want to be on social media. And so to get good attention is to thrive on social media. Also, as a woman, let's go back to childhood and the psyche. Attention is the way that you're told, or the way that that reality translates to you, that you are worth something. You understand what I mean? Like, positive attention means you're doing good in the world. Negative attention means you're doing bad in the world. And I think it's a lot easier for boys and men to constantly be told they're not doing good and still just keep going. I don't know. I feel like guys have a little bit higher level of psychopathy on average. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I do think there's an aspect of that, right? Your network, your network is your net worth as a woman, truly, and that goes triply so. That goes triply so. Also, a lot of women, or I guess if you want to say that the roles that society has provided for women, a lot of those are kind of more dependent on somebody providing for you or you assisting to something. I don't really see a lot of women choosing to be the in the role that takes the fall. You understand what I mean? Or I don't see a lot of women choosing to be in high risk positions. I don't think most of them enjoy that type of stress level. And so even if we're in this like modern postmodern age where women can essentially do whatever they want, I still don't think they're gonna choose that most of the time. Um and so that adds to the value of like seeking attention to get into the promised life, the promised land, you know, the reality that Disney has promised young women ultimately. Okay, so I'm probably gonna wrap this one up right here. In the next video, I'm gonna try to go a bit deeper, get into the more like soul stuff, the soul snatching stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one.